and welcome to Thrive with Julia. And today it's my great honor to have my dear friend Karen Halbo with me. Glad to be here. I've roped her in for this.
I'm nervous to be here, but it's a good thing.
Yes. And what we're going to talk to you guys about today are some wonderful tools that Karen and I have been learning for many, many, many years from the playbook of Jnana yoga. And a lot of people don't even know what Jnana is, do they, Karen?
No, when you say Jnana, they have no clue.
Yeah, and yoga, they think, oh, the stretching thing and all of that. But actually, there are many branches of yoga, and Jnana yoga is a big important part because it's yoga for the mind. Because we all get wrapped up here, don't we?
Terribly. And if you look at other religions and other systems, it's the same concepts. Mm-hmm. It's different words.
Exactly.
And for me, Jnana yoga, she says, oh, we've been studying. No, Julia learned and went to India and then came back and taught people, and I'm one of those people.
We've been doing this for, I don't know, at least 15 years now, though, a long time. So Karen's very adept as well and has used it in her life to thrive, right? I mean, it's all about thriving. So we wanted to share a few bits and pieces today from that. And first of all, Jnana, spelt Jnana. I know it sounds weird. And it's the word means wisdom. So it's yoga to heal the mind, just as Hatha yoga is for healing the body. Yeah. And in Jnana, what we use as our main tool is this thing called the witness. And maybe Karen can explain a little bit about that.
Well, the witness is the part of you that remains when everything else is quiet. People who are meditating, they're just letting, if thoughts come in, you let them come in and you let them go. Well, what is letting come in? What is letting go? That's the witness. That's the internal part. And for many people, that's a part without words. And Jnana teaches you to build that part up and come to love it and embrace it and as your most authentic self.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And so people think that they are their thoughts, and we are not our thoughts. And we know this because when we wake up in the morning and the mind is quiet, you're just waking up and you're in that sort of lovely zone. You don't just suddenly self-combust and disappear, do you? Because you're not thinking. I mean, no. You're still there. So this part of you that is always present and always aware, that is what's called the neutral witness. And it's called many other things. You could call it pure awareness. I'm sure the Buddhists who do a mindfulness practice have perhaps their own terminology. But this is the part of us that we can use to help to change some of these renegade thoughts in our heads that drive us crazy. And we've all got them, right?
Yes. And for some of us, it is a shorter drive than others.
Yeah. I know you had this great metaphor you were telling me about the counsel.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to explain Jnana to a friend, and they immediately identified, oh, I've heard someone call that the committee in the head. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have a really mean thought to yourself. You're always screwing up. This person is not happy with what you're doing, and it's hard to stay on track. And it's like, don't let that part of the committee in your head run the show. And they say, pass the mic, recognize, oh, I'm I'm thinking things that are not helping me in this situation. How can I move where my thoughts are and what's going on? And for some people, especially people who are more visual, it's helpful to think of, okay, that's the committee in the head and what's happening. Mm-hmm. Actually, Anne Lamott has a quote. She says that her mind is like a big city, and sometimes at 3 a.m, you don't want to be alone there.
I can attest to my own mind being like that too a lot of the time. Yeah. And I think especially, again, this last year and a half, there's been so many people struggling and having difficulty that, we hope that these tools we're going to share today will be helpful for everybody, but particularly if you've been having a little bit of a hard time. Because as Karen said, you need practice. You've got to practice having this capacity to observe your thoughts through this idea of witnessing yourself. Because quite honestly, if you can't do that, the thoughts will continue to run you like a robot, and you will not change because you haven't reprogrammed yourself. So in a way, this is like a reprogramming, a reboot of your brain and your mind.
Well, and it's such a popular term in today for people to talk about mindfulness. Mm-hmm. And actually it's kind of letting go of all the full and being in the peaceful center.
Right.
But they call it mindfulness, which I kind of find confusing.
Right, it's sort of mind emptiness in a way, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We try not to confuse y'all. So I thought we could just move on to some more practical examples, and you can see how, you might start to use these sorts of awarenesses to help you, right? And the first thing we'll discuss is complaints, because oh my gosh, I know I have complained to myself so much this year. Have you been a bit complainy this year too?
I've been very complainy.
Yeah.
And now there's to me it's like step one, okay, you're complaining. But step two is, wait a minute, I'm complaining. If I'm doing my work and saying, I just cannot stand this job, well, I'm telling myself that, and I will feel less tolerant of the job going forward. So that complaining is not helping me.
No, and I know for me, if I'm complaining and I'm caught up in it, I feel tense and contracted, and my energy just spirals down. Do you find that too?
Yeah. Well, I start to feel really hopeless and helpless. I don't like that feeling, and it's like, well, staying in complaint isn't going to help me.
Well, the thing is, it often doesn't change anything, does it?
Yeah.
I'm British. We love to complain about the weather. Oh, it's so darn hot this summer. Oh, it's pouring with rain and freezing cold. We'll complain no matter the weather. It's a British thing, believe me. And it doesn't change the blooming weather, however much you complain. But what it does do is that, in a way, grumpiness breeds grumpiness around other people. So everyone goes, oh yeah, terrible weather we're having. And I notice this is spiraling down that happens where everyone's complaining together. Was it Company Loves Misery? Is that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Misery loves company.
Oh, misery loves company. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, have you guys felt that way a little bit? I'm curious. But so many of us have had so many challenges this year with isolation and maybe working from home and with kids, who knows what. And it is so easy to drop into that complaining mind when perhaps it isn't going to change a lot. So what you can change is your thought.
Yeah, how you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm gathering more people have this experience. My biggest complaint is that by working from home, my office and the snack room are too close. And I swear sometimes I feel so closed in and bad from the complaining that I'm going to food just to feel better. And if I had a different tool to feel better, then I could make a different choice.
Yeah, right. Well, the good news is we're going to rope in that neutral witness here. And again, the first thing is to catch that complaint. You know how you will suddenly have a thought and remember where you put something you'd lost, or you suddenly just catch yourself having a real negative judgment perhaps about someone else, and you go, oh, I don't want to be that judgy person, but I noticed I just had that thought. Well, that's the neutral witness, and you all already do this. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
And so you just got to sort of practice using this muscle a little bit more. And I find my mind is overwhelming to me. So if I can have just one or two things every week to focus on, then often that's about all I have the capacity to do at once. So what we're going to suggest for you to do this week is to watch when your mind complains, because it's gonna do it. Yeah. And so that's the first step, right? Wow, here I am complaining again. Take a deep breath, just raise your energy back up with a breath maybe. And what I like to do is to then think of something I can be grateful for instead. Can we maybe think of some real life examples? Like perhaps you're working at home, right? You think that, you're too close to the snack room, you're all on your own.
Well, and then I get really frustrated with the job and I realize I'm complaining, and I'll be like, oh, thank goodness I'm not in the office. Thank goodness I'm not somewhere where they can hear me cussing at the screen and giving them the bird over and over again. There's a certain amount of privacy that I have from this setup, and that's a benefit. I like that part.
Sure.
You just think about what are the parts. It's a mix, and which side of the mix am I looking at? And when I'm complaining, I'm looking at the side that makes me less energetic and less happy.
Yeah, and then right now I've had a little injury, and so I've been at home a whole lot. And, you know, I love to be outside running around and hiking, and I can't do that right now. So whenever I feel myself getting whiny about it, I just switch it to, yeah, but I'm getting so many chores around my house completed, and I'm doing these podcasts and all of this. So
and Julia doesn't understand, but all of her friends are like, wow, Julia's in one place long enough. I can go see her. I can go visit. And people have been enjoying being able to stop by.
It's true. Yeah, we've had a lot of visitors the last 3 weeks while I've been laid up, and it's been really lovely, actually. So that's the trick for me, is to try and raise my energy back up with a positive thought instead. And it's a practice, and I find I do it multiple times throughout the day because this mind keeps yapping at me. Yeah. So that's the first tool for you guys, watching your complaining minds. You're going to have a lot of fun with that one. And watch your energy levels too, you know, because my brow furrows, I get really sort of, literally your shoulders shrug up and you contract. And we want to feel, when I feel great, how do you feel when you feel grateful? What do you notice in your body?
Shoulders drop, definitely that. And also just less tension everywhere. I carry tension in my core, and I just sort of like, it's okay. Nothing bad is going to happen. And there's these good things to be grateful for. And that's, I don't know, I get warm from the inside.
Yeah. So you guys can check out what happens to you. Watch yourself, watch your energy, and then see how you can change it. So I love that. I love simple things, you know. I think if they're simple, we can do them. If we overwhelm with too much mindfulness all at once, it's never going to happen. So so that's the first thing. And then the second thing we want to talk to you guys about is this idea of feeling good enough and feeling worthy and feeling deserving. Because this is huge, isn't it?
That's a big piece. And no matter how long I've been studying, that's a very core piece, is where I feel I'm not enough. And then the voice in the head says, you're not pretty enough for this dress. You know, you're not smart enough for this project. Those people are rolling ahead. And then I'm less able to do it. It's like what I say becomes so, because I'm saying these negative things to myself, and then it's harder for me to actually meet the challenge that's in front of me. And the point of a challenge is that it's challenging, but when you actually achieve it, that's a really good thing. So finding a way to like, how do I stop that?
Yeah. And the thing is, when I don't feel like I'm worthy or good enough, I try to always mask that, because I want to show my best self to the world. So I mask it with we all have strategies, you know. Maybe we try to sound, maybe we talk too much to try to sound smarter than we think we are. I don't know. What's your strategy? Do you have one you use?
If I feel like I'm not worthy, or I'm doing, is I'll become my inauthentic self, and I'll just hide.
Hiding.
I won't try to be with what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So hiding, but I mean, we all have our own strategies around all this, and you probably got your favorites. And unfortunately, this is like a core wound for so many of us when we just don't feel worthy, because it tends to sabotage our lives in so many ways.
Well, that's most people. It's like, okay, I don't feel worthy. Well, let me take a drink. Hey, I'm on top of the world. That was why cocaine was so popular. It made you feel like you were the greatest. And, you know, and getting into relationships that are toxic, or hopping into bed with somebody, you're trying to like tell yourself you're worthy. You're trying to get that feeling of elation, and then make that evidence that you're worthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only a few seconds behind the reality of the conversation, but it occurred to me.
No, it's good. So like, I wonder whether right now you guys can fill in the blank where the sentence is, I would feel good enough if. So think of those situations where you don't feel worthy or good enough. It could be in a relationship, it could be at your job or with your family, who knows. But I would feel good enough if, and then fill in the blank. Maybe it's if I were smarter, if I were prettier, who knows. But think what that is, and then breathe in the feeling of it. Just feel like it's already happened. You are that. It's happened already. Imagine it, feel it. This is faking it till you make it, but there's a value to this. And just notice, again, how you feel. Do you feel, I was just immediately thinking about this. I feel uplifted, my chest is open, my heart's more open, and I feel better.
Yeah.
Even though the mind has its opinion, you can bypass it, go to drinking in the feeling of, I'm already enough. And so here's the trick. So knowing that you can do that, when those thoughts come up that I'm not good enough, just simply go to the feeling. Go back to that feeling. Yeah. And again, this isn't easy because you have to keep using that witness to catch yourself.
And practice having that feeling. It's sort of like therapy teaches you to think about a situation and stop being in the negative and in pain about it. Mm-hmm. You get to a point where you can be okay. And it's like, well, this is practicing when you are complaining, feeling gratitude and trying to heal the part inside that feels like it's not enough. And I have to do that practice multiple times a day. Yeah, for me, I have to really, I would like just be so happy to know I'm doing okay at work. I don't have to be the best, but I need to know that I'm doing okay. And if I got some praise from my boss, it would be tremendous. And Julia said this, and I started thinking about, okay, well, if I got some praise, how would that feel? And it would be like, I can relax and I'd be better at my job because I wouldn't be so stressed. And I just try to really remember, okay, you're good at this. You're good enough and you're doing fine, and feel that feeling. And then try to take that into the work and the stress. Mm-hmm. And I have to do it several times because I can't just, the first time I try, it's like, I'm not getting this feeling at all. Well, it's not working. But they say, neurons that fire together, wire together. Mm-hmm. And you need to practice having the feeling of, I am enough. This is sufficient.
And you might even write this down, if it is a workplace situation, write down, I feel good enough when whatever it is, and then just keep it in front of you. And just every time, if you're feeling yourself go down a little bit and the unworthiness tape starts to play, just look at that and go, oh yeah, I can feel differently. It's a choice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for lots of people, writing things down is a good way to anchor a concept in your brain and to read it over. Sometimes I'll put affirmations on my mirror in the bathroom, and it's been helpful.
Yeah.
What am I thinking during the day? Well, I'm going to think this positive thing.
Mm-hmm. They do work, but you have to keep practicing and repeating. And you'll find eventually those negative thoughts will just start to not necessarily disappear completely, but they'll become less and less. And maybe one day they are gone.
Well, and then you can be conscious. You hear the negative thought and you can identify, oh, that's me just telling myself I'm not enough here. Mm-hmm. And I was made the way I am, and I am enough. And so that's a false thought. It's not serving me. And so try to work with that. And
another friend I have says, put those thoughts in the trash can. Just imagine you're trashing it. And then, like Karen said before about this idea of a counsel, pick up a different mic from someone else who's in your own personal counsel, who's more your cheerleader.
Well, we've all seen a counsel where there's all these different views, and sometimes there's just one note Sam who's always, but it's gonna not work, and here's why, blah, 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 blah. Well, you have that in your head, and you can say, nope, sorry, the rest is gonna make the decision. Yeah. And to choose where you put the emphasis.
Yeah. So play with that, you guys. Play with these tools. Be aware of this part of you that is watching your thoughts. And I really would love to hear from you if this is helping you, because I do think these are two of the most useful tools that we have in terms of some really basic good jnana pieces that have helped me and helped Karen and helped so many people. If you get these two pieces, it will actually change your life. It really will.
Especially in COVID. I mean, that so many of us can fall into complaint, and to stay in gratitude, you're just helping yourself be positive, and what you focus on gets bigger.
That's right.
And so the better will get bigger. But the whole thing of, what do I feel enough? So many of us, am I failing my family? Am I failing my work? It just feels like it's all hard, and you need to be on your own side.
Yeah. I
Listen
love
to
that.
what's happening.
Be on your own side. That's beautiful. Thank you for that, Karen. All right, everyone. So I hope that's been useful for you. And I thank Karen so very much for joining me this morning and sharing wisdom and jnana yoga. Now you know there's a different form of yoga, not just hatha yoga movement. So at least there too, you've learned something new, I hope. And we will see you all next time.